All right, now, everybody, quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
Welcome to the Pink Door Podcast. Imagine a real estate market where, buyers are happily paying thousands of dollars over the asking price, while literally right next door, sellers are being forced to slash their prices by the equivalent of, like, a luxury sports car.
Just to get anyone to even show up to an open house.
Right. Exactly. It sounds completely broken, doesn't it? Like the system is somehow operating in two alternate realities simultaneously.
Yeah, it really does feel that way on the surface.
So we are looking at a stack of highly detailed market trends reports and the MLS sold listings from Marshfield, Massachusetts. And this covers May of 2026.
And let me tell you, this data is packed with surprises.
Oh, absolutely. Our mission today for this deep dive is to, jump straight into the numbers, strip away the surface level noise, and figure out the actual mechanics driving this coastal market.
Because there's a lot going on beneath the surface.
Yeah. So whether you are a local resident looking to make a move this year, or you're just a real estate voyeur fascinated by the complex behavioral economics of housing, you are in the perfect place.
It's going to be a good one.
Okay, let's unpack this. Paint the big picture for me here. We've got this apparent paradox in the data.
We do.
When you look at Marshfield in May, are we looking at a market that is finally tilting back to a buyer's paradise? Or is this still fundamentally a seller's stronghold?
Well, if we look strictly at the macro level indicators, the baseline health of the market, it is undeniably still a seller's stronghold.
Okay, so sellers still have the upper hand.
They do. The foundational numbers support that. The median sold price in Marshfield is sitting comfortably at a very healthy $850,000.
Wow, $850,000.
Yeah. But the true indicator of seller leverage, the metric that really tells us who holds the power at the negotiating table, is the sold to list price ratio.
Right.
And right now, that sits at 101.2%.
So mechanically speaking, that means in the aggregate, the final contract price is actually higher than the initial sticker price.
Yes.
Buyers are still routinely writing offers above what the seller is asking just to, secure the property.
Exactly. They are absolutely still willing to pay a premium. But we have to look deeper than just the closing numbers.
Because those reflect older decisions, right?
Right. Those closed sales reflect decisions made, 30 to 45 days ago. The really fascinating shift in this May report is happening right now in real time, just beneath that surface.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The brakes are absolutely being tapped by the current pool of buyers.
I actually noticed that in the inventory metrics, I was looking at a 116% jump in median days on the market, just month over month.
It's a massive spike.
Yeah. Homes are now sitting for a median of 13 days. Now, I know 13 days isn't exactly like a crisis.
No, not historically.
But a jump that massive in a 4-week span feels significant. It feels like somebody just threw an anchor out the back of a speedboat.
That's a great way to put it. It is very significant. We also saw the months of inventory increase by over 18% from last month.
And just to clarify for everyone, that measures exactly how long it would take to sell every active listing if no new homes came on the market.
Exactly. That brought us up to 2.14 months of supply. So still low by historical standards, but the trajectory is pointing upward.
Right. It's a trend that matters.
Yeah. And what's fascinating here is what happens when you compare the median sold price against the median active list price.
Okay, well, lay it on me.
Well, we know the buyers who recently closed paid a median of $850,000. But the homes currently sitting active on the MLS waiting for a buyer.
Yeah.
Their median asking price is a lofty $920,000.
Wait, really? 920? But hold on. Isn't that just how a seller's market works?
What do you mean?
Well, if you're a seller and you've watched property values climb for 5 years, why shouldn't you test the waters?
Sure, it's tempting.
Like if your neighbor got an incredible premium last spring, why wouldn't you throw a $920,000 price tag on your house just to see if a buyer bites?
A lot of people think that way.
What is the actual tangible penalty for aiming high and then just, lowering it later if you don't get the traffic you want?
The penalty is the total loss of your debut momentum. And honestly, that is arguably the most valuable financial asset a seller has.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. What we are seeing in that $70,000 gap between sold and active prices is a severe psychological lag.
A psychological lag. How so?
Well, sellers look at the year-over-year estimated value growth, which is up about 1.8%, and they anchor their expectations to the peak frenzy of previous years.
Right, they remember 2022.
Exactly. They assume the buyer pool is still desperate, but they are completely missing the mechanical shift in buyer behavior.
Because buyers are dealing with a totally different reality now.
Absolutely. Buyers in 2026 are facing incredibly strict affordability metrics. I mean, interest rates, insurance premiums, general economic caution.
Yeah, it all adds up.
It does. They all factor into a much tighter qualification threshold.
So when a seller tests the waters at $920,000 on a property that, the neighborhood comps say is worth $850, they aren't just being optimistic.
No, not at all.
They are actively alienating the only people who are actually qualified to buy it.
Exactly. And then the property goes stale. The algorithmic boost of being labeled a new listing on the major portals, that wears off within a week.
Right, you fall off the front page?
Yep. And modern buyers are highly sensitive to days on market. They see a property sitting for 14, 21, or 28 days, and they don't think, oh, the seller is just testing the market.
What do they think?
They immediately assume there is something physically or fundamentally wrong with the house. The seller inadvertently stigmatizes their own property.
Which brings us right into the danger zone of this market report. We can actually see the financial carnage of that stigma in the data.
The numbers don't lie.
No, they don't. When homes are priced incorrectly out of the gate, the market correction is swift and brutal. In this May report alone, 17 listings had to register price changes.
And we need to talk about the scale of those drops.
Yeah, because these weren't just, cosmetic $1,000 trims to make the listing pop back up to the top of the search results.
No, these were significant structural corrections.
The average price drop across those 17 listings was nearly 5%.
That's massive.
In real dollars, we are talking about sellers having to surgically remove an average of about $56,000 from their initial asking price.
Yeah.
$56,000. And at the top of the market, in the $3 to $4 million luxury tier, there was one property that had to swallow a staggering $175,000 price reduction.
It's hard to even fathom. Let me ask you this, and really think about this. If you were buying right now,
Okay.
would you rather fight in a bidding war for a perfect home or negotiate a massive discount on a home that's been sitting?
Right. I used to think of an overpriced house like a fisherman using the wrong bait.
Okay, I can see that.
Like you just sit out on the water all day and the fish swim right by.
Yeah.
But honestly, that doesn't really capture the financial damage of losing your momentum.
No, it doesn't.
I think overpricing a house is more like a movie studio trying to sell tickets to a new blockbuster film, but they price the opening weekend tickets at $500.
Oh, that's a brilliant analogy.
Right. So nobody shows up. Then, the next weekend, they panic and drop the price down to $10. But the buzz is completely gone.
The theater is totally empty.
Exactly. Everyone assumes the movie must be terrible because nobody went to the premiere. You've destroyed your own launch.
That is a much more accurate framework. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the information asymmetry that used to exist in real estate is completely gone.
Buyers have all the same apps we do.
They absolutely do. They are looking at the exact same data. They have the comparable sales, the price history, the tax records, the days on market.
Nothing is hidden.
Right. The desperation we saw a few years ago has been entirely replaced by a very cold, highly selective calculation.
Yeah, buyers are doing the math.
If a home isn't flawlessly priced, or if the physical condition doesn't mathematically justify that top-of-the-market premium, the modern buyer simply folds their arms and waits.
Which flips the leverage entirely.
It really does.
The seller, who thought they were holding all the cards, suddenly finds themselves negotiating from a position of weakness against a buyer who knows exactly why the house has been sitting for a month.
Which is exactly why we need to examine the other side of the coin.
Yes, let's look at the winners.
Right. We need to look at the properties that did sell quickly and over the asking price to understand what buyers actually value right now.
Because the market isn't rejecting Marshfield real estate as a whole.
Not at all. It is just demanding a very specific value proposition. Buyers will absolutely punish overreach, but they are absolutely willing to reward what they perceive as perfection.
Let's get into the specific examples then, because these tales from the trenches really illuminate the psychology here.
Let's do it.
I'm looking at 116 Island Street. It's described as a coastal colonial, steps from Wrexham Beach.
Great location.
Oh, incredible location. And the listing notes mention it has been in the same family for 70 years, and it sits on a rare double lot.
Very rare.
So they listed it for $749,999, and in just 9 days, it closed for $775,000.
A quick, clean win.
Now, I have to push back on this a little. Usually, a house that hasn't changed families in 7 decades implies, well, a lot of deferred maintenance, right?
Usually.
Or layouts that haven't been updated since the Eisenhower administration. So why are selective 2026 buyers aggressively fighting over this and pushing it over asking?
Because the dirt.
The dirt. This is a crucial lesson in coastal real estate economics. A double lot right near Wrexham Beach is a geographically finite resource. You literally cannot manufacture more of it.
Ah, okay. Supply and demand at its most basic. Exactly. The buyers competing for Island Street aren't primarily evaluating the 2026 finishings of the kitchen or the age of the wallpaper.
They don't care if the cabinets are green.
No. They are calculating the intrinsic long-term value of the land itself and its immediate proximity to the water.
Right.
They know that even if they have to do a massive renovation down the line, the underlying asset, the location, is virtually bulletproof.
Okay, so that's the premium for raw coastal dirt. Let's contrast that with 72 Pilgrim Trail.
Oh, this is a fun one.
Yeah, this is a massive 2,520 square foot home on a secluded acre. It's got an in-ground pool, a cabana, like the entire resort package.
A true oasis.
It was listed at $1.1 million, and it sold in just 12 days for $1,227,000.
Wow.
Over 120 grand above the asking price. They aren't just buying dirt here. What is the mechanism driving someone to overpay by 6 figures?
They're buying time.
Buying time.
Yeah. This illustrates the turnkey premium perfectly. In a normal market, a buyer might calculate the cost of a house, then price out the cost of adding a pool and a cabana themselves, and decide, they can build it cheaper.
Right, the DIY mindset.
But modern buyers are heavily factoring in the time value of money and effort. If you buy a house today and decide to build a backyard oasis, you are facing intense contractor shortages.
Oh, getting a contractor to even call you back is impossible.
Exactly. And you've got permitting delays at the town level, volatile supply chain issues for materials. You might be looking at 2 entire summers of construction noise before you can actually swim in that pool.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is. By paying a massive premium for Pilgrim Trail, the buyer is fast-forwarding the clock. The idealized lifestyle is ready on day 1.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. I want to talk about 68 Leland Road.
I was hoping we'd get to this.
I stared at this line item for a solid 5 minutes because the numbers are just wild. This is a tiny 676 square foot ranch.
Tiny is the word.
676 square feet. That's basically a 2-car garage.
Pretty much.
It was listed for $539,900, and it was scooped up in 19 days for $565,000.
Over asking.
Over $500,000 for a space that small.
How does the math on that work for a buyer? Are people just throwing away any consideration for livable space if they can just, smell salt water?
It's not about ignoring livable space. It's about fundamentally redefining what the space is actually for.
Okay, explain that.
Well, for an empty nester who is downsizing, or someone purchasing a second home for the summer, 676 square feet isn't a limitation. It is actually a feature.
A feature? Really?
Yeah. It means lower utility bills, less exterior maintenance, less to clean. And because this specific property was recently updated, it reinforces that turnkey premium we just discussed.
Ah, I see.
The coastal location is the primary draw, but the minimal maintenance footprint is what financially justifies the over-asking price. They're essentially buying their weekends back. Buying your weekends back.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that framing. Because the complete opposite of that is buying yourself a second job.
Which nobody wants?
No. And that brings us to the properties that are dragging these market averages down. We saw the median days on market jump to 13, but the average for May was 63 days across 14 sold properties.
Right, median versus average.
Yeah, that discrepancy, a median of 13, but an average of 63, means we have some massive anchors holding the data back.
And the outliers are where you really learn about market mechanics.
Right.
When you see an average pulled that far away from the median, you have to look under the hood to see what kind of friction is slowing down the transaction. It's almost always a structural issue, not a lack of general demand.
Case in point, 32 Carolyn Circle.
Yep.
This is in North Marshfield,
Mhm.
a gorgeous new construction property designed by Alyssa Jones. It ultimately sold for $1,285,000.
Which is a fantastic number.
Incredible number. But it took 143 days on the market to get there. Why does a brand new architect-designed home sit for almost 5 months in a low inventory environment where, as we just said, buyers are desperate for turnkey properties?
This raises an important question about how real estate data is recorded versus how a home is actually built and transacted.
Okay, walk me through it.
A new construction property like Carolyn Circle is often listed in the MLS very early in the process, sometimes when it is merely a framed structure or a foundation.
But before it's even a house.
Right. Buyers tour the site, review the architectural plans, and they might sign a contract to purchase it relatively quickly.
Okay.
However, the transaction doesn't officially close and register as a sold property with its final days on market tally until the house is 100% finished.
Oh.
Yeah, the final town inspections have to be passed, and a certificate of occupancy has to be issued. That 143 days does not represent buyer hesitation.
It represents the literal time it takes to physically build a custom home.
Exactly. It is structural friction.
That makes perfect sense.
Hmm.
So the data point looks like a slow market, but mechanically it's just a slow build. It's an illusion in the data.
Precisely.
But then we have a property like 1155 Main Street, and this is a totally different species of friction.
Very different.
It's a large 2.6-acre property, originally listed way up at $699,000.
Big piece of land.
Yeah, but it sat for 199 days, nearly 7 months, and it finally sold for $545,000.
Ouch.
The listing notes mentioned it needed updates, but the real kicker is that it required a license to sell and court approval.
Yep, there it is.
What does that actually mean mechanically, and how does a legal term nuke the price of a house by over 150 grand?
Well, a license to sell usually indicates a probate situation. This means the original owner has passed away, and the executor of the estate needs formal approval from a probate court judge to legally transfer the deed to a new buyer.
Okay, so you have to involve the legal system.
Heavily. Mechanically, this introduces a massive, unquantifiable unknown into the timeline. You might agree on a price with the seller today, but you cannot legally close the transaction until the court docket allows for a hearing.
And courts are not known for their speed.
Exactly. All the heirs have to have their say, and the judge finally signs off. Depending on the court's backlog, that can take months.
So it's like buying a high-end car at an incredible discount, but the car's transmission is locked inside a bank vault.
I like where this is going.
And the bank manager is the only one with the combination, and he's on an indefinite vacation.
Spot on.
You own the car on paper, but you can't actually drive it home until this mysterious third party gets around to stamping your paperwork.
Which is terrifying for a regular buyer.
Right. If you are a family trying to time a move so you can enroll your kids in the Marshfield School District by September, you simply cannot gamble on a timeline like that.
Exactly. It completely eliminates traditional timeline-sensitive buyers from the pool.
People who need a house right now.
Right. Families trying to coordinate the sale of their current home with the purchase of a new one cannot absorb that level of open-ended uncertainty. The only buyers left in the pool are investors or incredibly patient individuals who have highly flexible living arrangements.
Which is a very small pool.
Exactly. Because the buyer pool shrinks to a fraction of its normal size, the demand plummets. And when demand plummets, price inevitably follows.
Makes sense.
The buyer who ultimately took 1155 Main Street demanded a massive discount. That $150,000 reduction as direct compensation for taking on the legal friction and the delayed timeline. They traded their patience for equity.
Wow. Okay, let's step back and synthesize all these disparate pieces.
Good idea.
Looking at Marshfield in May 2026, we have a market that is fundamentally hot, but highly punishing.
Very punishing.
If you have a turnkey property, whether it's an acre with a resort-style pool on Pilgrim Trail or a tiny 600-square-foot cottage on Leland Road, buyers will aggressively outbid each other to secure that frictionless lifestyle.
Without a doubt.
But if you miscalculate your price out of the gate and lose your launch momentum, or if your property comes saddled with legal hurdles like probate, the market is incredibly efficient at forcing massive discounts and extremely long waits.
It is a ruthless efficiency.
The days of buyers throwing money blindly at just anything with a roof are over.
Totally over. The modern buyer is a strict pragmatist. They are calculating time, effort, and risk just as heavily as they're calculating mortgage rates.
Which changes the whole game.
It does, and I think that leaves us with a critical thought to explore as we head deeper into the year.
What's that?
With the months of inventory creeping up by 18% in just a single month, we have to wonder, are we watching the very early subtle signs of a broader market normalization?
Oh, that's a huge question.
Because if that inventory number continues to climb and say it hits 3 or 4 months of supply by autumn, the power dynamic in Marshfield is going to completely flip.
Wow.
Sellers who are overreaching today, banking on the desperation of 2022, might find themselves chasing a market that has already moved on.
It's a sobering thought. A market that boasts $850,000 median sold prices and 101% sold list ratios on paper might actually be quietly laying the groundwork for a major correction right beneath the surface.
It's definitely something to watch.
Absolutely. Well, if you have any questions about this episode, or if you are thinking about buying or selling a house anywhere on Boston's South Shore from Southie to Sagamore, give Jim Aldred a call. He would love to speak with you. Jim believes that people in transition often feel anxious about buying or selling a home, and he provides them with the guidance and security to help your family move on smoothly. Thanks for listening, and catch you on the next episode of the Pink Door Podcast.